Have you ever felt like you're running on fumes, but the finish line feels like it just keeps getting further and further away? Like you're pushing harder and harder, but everything just still feels so heavy. You're constantly tired. You're not feeling energized after a full night's sleep, if you're even getting that. And the worst part, you just feel like you can't focus on tasks that you used to be able to focus on and even excel at. That, my friend, is the insidious creep of burnout. And it's not just being tired, it's this deep, really emotional, mental, and physical just exhaustion that makes everything feel impossible. If you're nodding along or like, yes, girl, yes, girl, yes, girl, trust me, you're not alone. The good news is, contrary to a lot of popular rhetoric that we're getting right now, you don't have to just quit that job to really get your spark back. Honestly, for some people, that option is not even feasible. You got kids to feed, you got a visa to keep to stay in whatever country you're in, and that's okay. So let's talk about how we can face this burnout without quitting that job. And of course, do the YouTube things for your girl. Like, share, subscribe if this is useful. Okay, so how do we pull ourselves back from that brink if quitting is impossible or it isn't even something we want to do? When I sat down to take a look at the state of my life when I was in the throes of burnout, I was like, no, Adora, we can't do this. I knew things were bad burnout wise for me when it was so tiring to even show up as myself that I mentally put myself into a performer mode. I now had to perform my former personality. Wow, like what a weird experience to put the Adora show on in my head and play this character who I know to be me, but I know I'm not being me because I'm so tired. Then, after playing this role of me, I was even more tired than before because I was so fixated on what would normal me be like. I don't want people to know that I'm struggling, as if struggling is something to be super ashamed about. So then when I was scrolling on my TikTok feed and I was seeing all of these influencers, content creators, whatever it may be, talking about, yeah, it was burning me out. I quit that job. Quit that job and moved back home with my parents, quit that job. And for some of us, that's just not an option. Quitting and moving home with my parents was never going to be feasible for me. I live an ocean away. I had to figure out a way to make it work for me now, where I am now. So for me, it started with small but intentional shifts. So I want to share with you a few things that helped me and are continuing to help me now. And I do mean now because burnout doesn't switch off in a day because you've decided to be over it. You work your way away from it the same way you worked your way into it. So first, let's get into using micro boundaries to get your time back. When dealing with burnout, you don't need to build this big wall, you just need a few little fences sometimes. So by that I mean setting these tiny non-negotiable limits. For me, it was setting things like not checking emails before 8 a.m. or after 6 p.m. because I had developed a nasty habit of spiraling off the clock because I was constantly available to my work. Or more recently, I've taken the conscious decision to take my lunch break away from my desk every single day. It's literally never that serious to have to work through your lunch or skip lunch to work. Literally nobody was gonna die if I took a 15-30 minute lunch break. I live in the UK now. You get an hour off, but I was thinking I was being super efficient working through that time. Spoiler alert, I wasn't. So being intentional about taking my lunch break back has really been a great shift for me. In fact, I actually turned it into a little series over on my TikTok, and I'll link my TikTok in the description, called My Midday Diaries. It's all about all the fun things I'm getting up to during my lunch break. So not just eating the food, but also doing a little something for myself. If you're into that, feel free to check that out. So even if it feels like you can't start with a full hour like I'm shooting for now, see if you can get in a 15-minute, 30-minute break to just step away from it. And then think about what other small boundaries you can set up to stop your work from bleeding into more aspects of your life so that you can reclaim these little pockets of time just for yourself, because these tiny acts of self-preservation do actually add up. I'm feeling the difference already. I'm less anxious in the morning because my first thought isn't to check Outlook and Teams. I'm enjoying my lunch break because I've had a little bit of fun and can come back refreshed to the rest of my afternoon. And then when I've closed my laptop, it's a done deal. The rest of the day is mine. Next, let's talk about nailing down non-performative rest. Take it from me, I'm the CEO of treating rest like another item to tick off of my to-do list. And I mean literally, I have rest as an item on my to-do list, and it gets embarrassing when I then go to look at my to-do list at the end of the day and rest wasn't actually ticked off. But when I did rest, it didn't feel like rest. I was either scrolling on social media, watching TV, or making more lists to optimize my workflow when I finally get back to said workflow. So yes, I was doing work during my rest to do better work when I'm not resting. Y'all see where I was? Okay, but non performative rest is different. It's rest for the sake of rest. It's doing something genuinely enjoyable or truly just doing nothing at all without putting that pressure on yourself to be productive or even just entertained by meaningless media. So for me, this looked like getting back to the things that I genuinely enjoyed, like getting back into reading, for example, and my Kindle missed me. I charged that girl up and we've been locked in. But also, I'm pretty sure all of the bookstore owners in London have been waiting on my return. I've been in there just swiping that card. But also trading my screen time for craft time, like my crochet needle and my scrapbook have seen a lot of me lately. It's about letting your brain switch off or finding a way to divert it from high stress thinking to just, is this the loop stitch? Or do these colors look good together? Something you enjoy. A positive stimulation for your brain. Or better yet, one of my favorite ways to rest, a nap. Where can you find pockets of time in your day to let your brain recharge, turn off, and be free of any external demands? If you're burning out, you're probably a bit of a tracker like me, but I want you to switch a little bit from tracking your time to tracking your energy. In a lot of our jobs, rightfully so, we're so focused on time management, but when you're burnt out, your energy is the real currency. So start noticing when you have the most energy and what really depletes it. Maybe like me, you're a morning person. So maybe that time can be saved for those high intensity tasks or creative tasks, and then save the boring admin for like your afternoon slump. For me, I realized that afternoon meetings were a snooze fest. I enjoy my coworkers, but please don't call me at 4:30 p.m. I started scheduling those high priority meetings or high intensity whatever meetings in the morning after I had done like my other tasks that was just for me time to crank through in the AM. So if I was scheduling the meeting, I'd place it earlier in the day. If somebody else scheduled the meeting, I really started just taking initiative to be like, hey, can we meet about this a little earlier in the day? Because I do also want to give the best version of myself to that meeting. From there, I could put power hour or power half hours of time on my calendar and just Pomodoro my way through the lower priority items on my list. So it could be helpful to see what your natural rhythm is and find a way to work with that. Yeah, you can cram a lot into the clock, but how are you holding up? You're burning out. And finally, speaking up. Now, this is probably the hardest but most crucial step. At work, it might mean having a really frank and honest conversation with your manager, your team lead, or even HR about your workload. You don't have to say, hello, I'm burnt out, if you're not comfortable doing that, but you can frame it as like, hey, I want to deliver the best work that I can, and I know this is a high priority item, or these are high priority items, but is there a way that we can deprioritize or give me more leeway or time for item X or item Y? Because I don't want the quality of the work to suffer if I'm not dedicating as much time as each item deserves. You'll phrase it the way you know best. Then they can see that, okay, if you're the only person who can do this thing, they got to give you more time, or they need to delegate it to somebody else. Then with your support system, your family, your friends, your therapist, it's about being vulnerable. Please let them know that you're struggling. There's literally nothing worse than going through this alone. They can offer a listening ear, some practical advice, or just a welcome distraction. And if your behavior is starting to change based on this burnout, they'll be able to see there is a reason for it. You're becoming harder to reach, you're being less responsive to opportunities to hang out. Having shared what's going on in the background gives them something to give you more leeway and grace for. And then, of course, bottling it up makes it worse because you're like, ugh, they don't get it. And they're like, ugh, what's going on with her? And it's your duty as well, as a good friend, to let the people you care about know that, hey, I'm struggling with something. I can't show up as my best self. It's hard right now. And that gives them an opportunity to come be a good friend to you. Because I have a feeling, I really do have a feeling, especially with us burnout folks, we're giving so much at work. You're likely also giving so much in your relationships and are struggling to ask for help at work. So you must be struggling to ask for help in your personal life. So please, Miss Girl, ask for help. So yeah, the biggest lesson I learned is that recovering from burnout isn't about stopping everything, about quitting the job. For me, it's been about rebalancing, about finding sustainable ways to engage with my work, with my life. And yeah, sometimes it's really not about the big dramatic changes that we might be hearing on social media, but a series of small, consistent shifts over time that bring you back to yourself. So, yes, I didn't quit my job, but I did quit the relentless pursuit of more, whatever that is. And yeah, in doing so, I'm finding a way to thrive again, even within the demands of my existing role. It was just about creating space for myself bit by bit in the workplace, in the workday, in my personal life. But hey, I want to hear from you. Have you ever felt close to burnout? Are you in the thick of it right now? Are there small shifts or big changes that you're making right now to help you feel more like yourself? I'd love it if you share your experience in the comments so that we can create a safe space to support each other while we navigate the pressures of work and life. Because it's scary to be in your late 20s, early 30s and facing burnout, knowing there's a whole career ahead of you. But you know what? We can get out of it. We can get out of it together. And if this resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe to your girl so that we can keep having more chats about building a happier and healthier version of ourselves.